The evacuation alarms screamed through the mining colony of Epsilon 7 like wounded animals. Clark Matthews stood at the entrance to Bay 12, his clipboard forgotten in his hand as he watched the desperate crowd surge toward the last functional escape pod. "Please, my daughter." A woman's voice cut through the chaos. Clark turned to see a Valorian female clutching a small child to her chest. The Valorians were humanoid, with their distinctive silver-streaked skin and large, dark eyes that seemed to hold galaxies within them. The child couldn't have been more than 6 standard years old. Her tiny fingers wrapped around her mother's collar. "Sir, we need to launch now," the pod technician shouted over the din. "The core's going critical in for minutes." Clark looked at his boarding pass number to 147, the last seat. He'd earned it through lottery, a stroke of luck that now felt like a curse. The pod held 300 souls, and outside, at least 1,000 more pressed against the barriers. The Valorian mother met his eyes. No words passed between them, but Clark saw everything he needed to see: terror, love, desperation. The mining station shuddered beneath their feet as another explosion rocked the lower levels here. Clark pressed the pass into the woman's trembling hand. "Take it, but you go now." The woman hesitated for only a heartbeat before rushing toward the pod. As she climbed aboard, the small Valorian child looked back at Clark over her mother's shoulder. Their eyes met, and something passed between them: gratitude, understanding, a debt that transcended species. "What about you?" the technician asked. Clark smiled grimly. "I'll find another way." There was no other way. They both knew it. The pod's door hissed shut. Through the viewport, Clark watched it launch, a silver tear streaking across the red sky of the dying world. He turned away and began walking, though he didn't know where. The carters were emptying now, the smart ones already gone, the unlucky ones resigned to their fate. He found himself in the observation deck, watching Epsilon 7's sun set one final time. The view was beautiful, he thought. Strange how you only notice these things at the end. The trembling stopped. The alarms ceased. In the sudden silence, Clark heard footsteps. "You're still here?" Catherine Rodriguez emerged from the shadows, her maintenance uniform covered in grease and soot. "I thought everyone evacuated." "Could say the same about you," Clark replied. Catherine laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "Someone had to keep the power running long enough for the pods to launch. Couldn't abandon my post." She walked to the window and stood beside him. "You gave my seat away, too." A Valorian child and her mother. Catherine nodded slowly, as if this made perfect sense. They stood in comfortable silence, watching the sun dip below the horizon. If these were their last moments, at least they weren't alone. "Catherine?" Clark asked. "Yeah? Do you believe in miracles?" Before she could answer, the observation deck flooded with light. Not the harsh red of the dying sun, but a brilliant white that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. A ship materialized outside the window, massive, elegant, unlike anything in human or known alien design. "What the hell?" Catherine whispered. The ship's hull opened and a boarding tube extended toward the station, connecting with the observation deck's emergency airlock. A door appeared in the wall where none had been before, and through it walked a Valorian female. She was older now, taller, but Clark recognized those eyes immediately. "The child from 8 years ago, you," she said, her voice carrying the musical quality of her species. "Clark Matthews, I have been searching for you." "How? My name is Lysa. You saved my life. You gave me your future." She stepped forward, and behind her, the corridor of her ship gleamed with technology centuries beyond human capability. "My people have a saying, a debt of life is a debt eternal." I was young then, but I remembered. I remembered your face, your sacrifice, your mother. Clark asked. "She lives. She serves as ambassador to the Valorian High Council. She helped me find you." Lysa turned to Catherine. "Both of you must come. Now, this station has minutes." They didn't need to be told twice. As they ran through the boarding tube, Clark glanced back at Epsilon 7 one last time. The station groaned, metal screaming against metal. Inside Lysa's ship, the tube detached, and they accelerated away at impossible speeds. Through the viewport, they watched Epsilon 7 collapse in on itself, then explode in a silent bloom of fire and debris. The others, Catherine asked. The escape pods, all safe, Lysa assured her. My fleet has been tracking them, ensuring their journey to New Horizon Station. You were the only two I came for personally. Clark sank into a seat, overwhelmed. Why go to all this trouble? It was just one seat, one moment. Lysa knelt before him, taking his hands in hers. Her skin was warm, electric. You are human, Clark Matthews. Your people are young, impulsive, often foolish. But in that moment, when death looked you in the eye, you chose life for a stranger, for a child of another species. Her eyes shimmered with tears that glowed faintly. That is not just anything. That is everything. She stood and gestured to the vast ship around them. I am now captain of the Valorian 7th Fleet. I have spent 8 years training, rising, preparing for this day. My mother told me stories of your sacrifice, and I vowed that if humanity ever needed us, we would answer, we. The Valorian people have voted to propose a full alliance with humanity. Trade, technology, mutual defense. Lysa smiled. It seems one human's kindness has earned your entire species a powerful friend. Catherine laughed, a sound of pure disbelief. One seat on an escape pod changed everything. One act of compassion, Lysa corrected. One choice to value life over self-preservation. That is what changed everything. As the ship jumped to hyperspace, carrying them toward a future brighter than either could have imagined, Clark understood. Humanity's greatest strength had never been their weapons or their cunning. It was their capacity for kindness, even in the face of extinction. 8 years ago, he'd given up his tomorrow for a stranger's today. Now, that stranger had returned, bringing with her hope for all of humanity's tomorrows. The debt was paid, but the friendship, Clark suspected, was only beginning.